platforming. There we go.
All right, man.
Cut.
All right, we're ready. So this is a take. I don't know how many it takes, but it's part of the game, man. Doing all this shit.
Yeah.
You know, doing a lot of these shots over and over and over again. But it's good to finally connect and have you on the show because like Leo and I have been doing this for a few months now, and you know the goal is like giving millennials a different path because right now, like one of the past episodes we just released, we talk about. You know, the economy's changed. Like, we don't have, like, the stable jobs that are just going to be there forever. It's not going to be the 9 to 5. So, like, we're the first ones in line now. We got to figure out for ourselves, like, what do we do? How do we survive in the gig economy? Why it's important? Why is it important to build a personal brand? Leo mentioned how personal branding and information is the new oil. That's the new thing. Yep. And I don't think there's anyone better than you to talk about that. So, tell us a little bit about kind of your background, what you do, and then we'll hammer it home, man. So.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of what you said, a great intro into social media and why it's important and why it isn't important too, right? So like you got to find why you're using social media as your outlet. And if you have no reason to use it, then you shouldn't, maybe beyond that, right? Because there's probably other things that you can find that you're passionate about to use your time wisely and to kind of propel yourself into when you retire or whatever to have money. And there's a lot of ways with the internet you can make money, whether it's eBay or Amazon or all that, and then social media is a piece of it. But if you see the value of it in the beginning, you can brand yourself to use that space as an investment in yourself.
Right.
So it's kind of how I looked at social media and just trying to do that to grow and use that as an investment in myself, and hopefully it continues to pay off.
And you guys met each other you guys know each other for quite some time now, yeah?
Oh, like about a year.
Yeah, it's been a year
right now, actually.
Yeah, and we met only through online communication.
Right.
So
again, just a spark.
Yeah, and I remember one of the episodes. You're like, no, that can't happen. It's true.
It's still hard to believe.
Yeah, we do so much work together. I work with so many people, never even meet them face to face. It's all through online communication, and you can do so much. And it's about like, we talk about it in another episode. It's like about just you can have an interpersonal interaction through WhatsApp or DM or any of that stuff. So you can actually save a ton of time. How much work can you get done through Upwork or Fiverr or like DMs or stuff like that? The sky's the limit with that. But again, the question is how to use the phone. Like, what are you doing with it? And also, like, there's ones where you can meet and network with people. And the other half of it is like, okay, so I have a phone. I'm taking pictures in a restaurant. I'm going to a hotel anyways, and I'm taking videos of the casino. Oh, wait, and if I have a big following, what if those people who are the owners of the restaurant or the management, what if they would pay me? I'm taking a picture of that anyways. What if I can get paid doing it? And that's where you come in, because that's one of the first conversations we had. Like, man, going to this hotel, I'm going to Atlantic City, I'm going to Foxwoods, and I'm getting paid to be there. I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. So talk about that. What is that all like? People don't even know what that is.
Yeah, so I guess with that, it's right. Like anyone can do it, but you gotta kind of fit their narrative, right? So casino, especially in Atlantic City wants young people there to show a good time. They want not just the gambling portion, but they want their nightlife, they want their restaurants, they want everything to have that sexy image of young people, whether it's entrepreneurs or social media travelers, making that stop to invest their time in their property. And if your content is good, you have great content on your page and you have someone help you with video editing and photography, then you can reach out to these places and say, hey, you know what? My following kind of buys into something similar to your property or restaurant. It gets good engagement. My content is professional. This is what it would cost to pay someone to come and create a video like this. Let us stay and give us the amenities. Maybe we'll do it for trade. Maybe we'll do it trade and a little money. And then bargain with them, right? Because they want their place to look the best. And it's influencer marketing. So when Instagram started in 2012, 13, I believe, I really studied influencer marketing with Shreds. Shreds was a company. I had a friend that was involved in the process in the beginning and really kind of watched what they did and used fitness influencers to influence people on social media to buy products and training programs. And they were really the first in that business doing that, and now restaurants and casinos and hotels do that with micro-influencers. So a micro-influencer might be me or my girlfriend Margaret, who has a big following that goes to a place and they use that following to engage others. So it's similar to being with a supplement brand influencing people in the supplement industry. Now you're influencing people that travel or might travel, and just kind of doing it that way.
So the term is called micro-influencers now?
So a micro-influencer is someone that micro-influences an audience to a specific venue or place, but isn't like a full-out influencer for them. Because I'm not necessarily a travel blogger where I would be a travel blogger influencer. I do a lot of different things in the space, so I can micro-influence for that space, but I'm not just niched for that one influence.
Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. I mean, did you know about this?
Yeah, of course. No, influencer marketing, but it's cool because so people haven't like really grasped what this is, like influencer marketing, because back in the day, like companies would be like, all right, we got to sponsor Super Bowl, we got to have television ads, we got to have banner ads. But if you think about it, there's so many people on social media anyways. Why not use everyday people with a big following and pay them to post it on their posts? Like I don't need to pay, CNN or Fox or ESPN like hundreds of thousands of dollars for an ad. I can just pay micro influencer, less than that, still a good amount, but then I get the same traction anyways, right? So if someone like, you have big time influencers, like say Kylie Jenner, right? She charges $1.1 million per post.
Yep.
So, but why would they pay her? Because she has, I don't know how many million followers. So the ROI on giving her the million versus giving it on television where how many people are watching those news, probably not as engaged. But if I follow someone, like it's someone that I trust and that I probably care about, and if they tell me to buy something, dude, it's a win-win situation. So influencer marketing is like, it's like pretty mind-blowing actually in this new space of advertising, because it didn't exist like 10, 15 years ago. Like I can't go to the W Hotel and be like, hey, pay me now to take a photo. Like, what are you talking about? But now I can. If I have a good following, like 40, 50, 60,000 people, I mean, it doesn't even have to be that big. And if they know that I have content that would actually, and I have an engaged following, and seeing the videos that I take would get other people to drive traffic to the W Hotel, they would pay me for that now, right?
Yeah.
But it's also the concept of, I guess, the enlightened part of this. You're doing shit anyways, so why not get paid for it? That's the big topic about this stuff, right? Because we're taking photos anyways.
I know you can, and
Exactly.
I think that's kind of what we kind of do is like, okay, I would go to Atlantic City when, I don't know, right? Because I try to figure it out with time. But now I'm going to go to Atlantic City because we can get great content there. We're doing it, for free, basically. There's obviously a cost with anything. And now we're growing our brand, our personal brand, our followings, and engaging more people. I think with the micro-influencers or influencers that are not a Kylie Jenner, people relate more, right?
Yeah,
it's not like...
Right.
Even LeBron James, it's tough to relate to a product that they're using, right? But if you use a micro-influencer, someone that trust, that lives locally, or maybe from here to New York, and you kind of have a general idea, you feel like you're connected with them,
right?
Then you're gonna maybe even go to that restaurant because you follow them and you're like, oh, they might be here. Oh, I want to meet Prady, right? I want to meet Leo. So I think that works for restaurants, and I think with hotels it's the same way, and you can do events that way. I think just people want to be a part of something, right? So if you're a leader and you kind of lead people by the pack and kind of direct people to these places, they're gonna want to be a part of something, and they want to be enlightened too. So I think that you're kind of enlightening them of your process and things that they might be open to doing themselves.
I think it's huge though, because what you mentioned, you start locally and you start small, and it's like just you micro start, I guess, in a way, because we always think, for me it's like, I look at you guys have a massive following, and it's like, for me it's like, how do I ever get to 30, 40,000 followers ever? For me it seems impossible. If I just start small, just with little things like this, like, it could eventually lead up to that.
It will. I think I've seen so many accounts too where I was like, oh, they're at 6,000, now they're at 60,000, now they're at 600, and they keep growing, and it's, well, what are they doing better than me? And I think when you see those things, it's kind of like just keep honing into your niche, right? You start and you're like, oh, my niche is out here, it's kind of broad, and then you keep like building yourself in and taking it into your really honed into your posts and where you want to go with your following and what you want to do with it. So then it's easier when you reach out to a brand or a hotel or something and say, hey, this is kind of what my following's engaged in, this is what I'm involved in, I'd like to do this. And a lot of them are just starting to learn about it and know the value of it. So we're at a point where there's a lot of opportunity with it.
That's the enlightening part of it. That this is actually possible as well. But so Prady mentioned you do like tons of different things. What are some of your, I guess, front row projects that you're working on?
So me and Margaret have a business, online business, Get There Company. We manufacture and sell resistance bands. So we're moving towards more of educational than just selling the bands. Kind of using Amazon now. He had got us involved in that, which is a great hub. I think Amazon is just so amazing. Just kind of see what the money people are making on there and really try to figure it out. And I think I like it because it's a game. There's not really any other sales competition like it, because if you keep selling, you get to number one. So it's kind of finding out how to beat the big business, right? So my goal has kind of been, while I'm seeing the sales and seeing my ranking drop, how to just keep getting it lower and lower. And then Margaret's good with the back end of the content and the wording, and just keep kind of, again, honing it in to get it to this space where you're at a point where you can just keep ramping it up and getting it, more traffic. And I think Prady had made a great comment 2 or 3 weeks ago. We were on the phone, and he said how he wants to sell more on his website and collect data. And we're in an era where there's been a lot of like data breach and different things, but it's still so open and free where you can get a lot of data. And data is almost like when our parents were younger, like an investment in the stock market. You put a little money in and later on it'd be worth so much money, where the stock market game's a little tougher now. Whereas if you use that website to collect data that's really solid, where you know your customer, you know their age, their demographic, what they're buying, what they're into, you can then, when you sell your company, say, yeah, my sales are this, but this is the amount of data I have on these type of customers that fit, again, your niche or your brand, and then go to a Under Armour or a Nike and say, hey, my customers fit your brand. This is what I want, ×3 or times whatever that industry calls for when you want to sell the business. So Prady had brought up that point of how the website data is so great. So I think we kind of sat back 2 or 3 days later and said, well, how can we be a beast on Amazon and still have great data on the website? So we looked at our product and thought, okay, well, if we slip in our resistance band kit, a free guide that will send them to the website to download an even larger guide. So it comes with a few workouts in the the packet of the bands. Then they're like, oh, I got 8 different workouts. I'd like 12 more. Well, they got to now go to our website, download the ebook, put in their information, and then off of that ebook, there's an opportunity now to get a bigger ebook with more movements for an upcharge or personalized coaching. So we kind of took a look at our business after that conversation and said, how can we drive all those customers from Amazon back to the website, collect data, have a bigger upsell other than a resistance bands, and kind of have 2 separate businesses. So we're trying to kind of really take a step back, clean up our act, I guess, is the way to say it.
Just to give people like an understanding. So when you sell something on Amazon, you kind of just know the name of the person, but you can't really email them. If you send an email, Amazon checks the email. You can't really do there's ways to do it, but you can't insert anything in the product to bring them back on the website. You don't collect any data. So it's like, if I sell my product right now to CVS, I don't know who bought it. So the question that now entrepreneurs in today's day need to ask is like, who's buying my product? Like, who are they? And how can I collect that data? And I can do a lot of other stuff with it. So if you're starting a podcast or a blog, now you have people that you're signing up for your newsletter, and now you have their information, and then you can use that information to basically get them involved in another project you're doing. But there's one key element in this, and I've been, one of the reasons why I'm obsessed with marketing is that since a very young age I've been involved in politics, and we know that what actually matters most for the vote, it's not media or TV, it's one conversation. It's the conversation the day of the voting happens with your neighbor. We know that conversation is probably the biggest mover in people's like voting behavior, is the conversation they have with their neighbor, or like someone, use neighbor as like someone who you're really close with.
Right.
And what is that all about? It's about trust. So like, what are you doing to gain that person's trust? Right. And that's a conversation I think tech companies are forgetting, because they're like, there's a fine line between collecting data, making it personalized, and being creepy.
Yeah.
So a lot of times technology creeps me out. I'm like, dude, how did you know that? And then, like we've had a conversation about that too. And it's like, dude, I don't like that. I find it creepy. So we need to figure that out too, because you have like companies, like I go on Facebook and I'm like having a conversation about stuff and it sounds crazy, but then I'll see an ad for it. And I know my behavior is like, dude, that's creep me out. And I never want to see their shit again. Yeah. So it's also about, okay, dude, you have my email list, you have my information and stuff, but what are you doing with it so you can give me information that's valuable to me, but also kind of make sure that I trust you. And I think that part, I predict in the future. I mean, that's what I try to do. I try to predict what's going to happen next. And I think the biggest thing that's going to happen is that people are going to start not trusting tech companies anymore with their data. We see this in Europe already. They passed the GDPR, which means no more pixels, no more collecting data. It's gone. You're not allowed to do that in Europe. You have to have like so many, you can't collect the data anymore. Done.
Is that why Google got in trouble?
Google got in trouble, Facebook got in trouble, Uber got in trouble in Europe. Like they just don't. Now Europe is a little bit more government hands-on, but I think the concept behind that is, okay, so you have my data, but don't be a creep about it. Yeah. And I think that's the most important. You want to build your social media following, you want to do Amazon or whatever you want to do, collect my data, but give me stuff that's valuable without creeping me out. And I think that's the conversation more entrepreneurs need to have, because it all goes back to like the voting. It's about what my neighbor tells me. That's why influencer marketing is powerful, because I don't care what Kylie Jenner says, but I care what Brendan says, and because Leo says, because you're my friends. If you say, dude, try out that app, I'm more likely to try it than if Usher tells me to do it. Because Usher is just, I don't know who that guy is really.
Right. People are sick of that too. They're sick of like that, like, oh, I see Kylie Jenner on a fat burner. She clearly didn't take that,
but
right?
if your close friend says, dude, I was like, dude, this is really helping me, you're more likely to try it out, right? How often do you and I you recommend this software, whatever, and if I tell you, hey, it's good, you're more likely to use it than if you see like a commercial for it on TV. It's just the generation we're in.
Right.
So I think it's very important. That's why influencer marketing and micro-influencers are so powerful now, because people understand that trust is something that happens on the local level, not on like the macro level. And that's something that I think the conversations for entrepreneurs, mastermind groups, wherever you're doing, is figure out, okay, it's not just about, oh dude, what data can I collect? Oh, I can get your email address. And people are just so hungry for that. But I was like, no. If you do that to me, if you show me like something that creeps me out, I'm done. I don't want anything to do with you.
It's taking it back to old school. Just word of mouth is still super powerful. And as we talked about in other episodes, just stripping it down to its bare minimum. Being human. Just being a human, and word of mouth is still successful in that, In
a way, we're kind of like you see with the big businesses closing down, the Macy's and the Kmart's and all
Sears.
that, and Sears, and people go on Amazon, and then on social media, it's like we're getting to a point too where we're getting like Instagram. It was a platform of great pitches and content. Now it's become this like, I'll do anything for a like, and people are and I'll do anything, like really, like all right, and people are like dying now. They're falling off cliffs and stuff because they wanted to get the sickest like viral video, right?
Crazy.
Yeah, people jump off shit.
And it's mind-boggling, right? And then there's pictures of people that are doing things that you'd be like, wow, I hope your family doesn't see that on Christmas, right? So I think we made people sick of the big businesses, so they buy online. They don't want to go to a Walmart and walk all the way back to the end of the store to get a battery, so they buy on Amazon. People are going to get sick of going on social media because they're sick of these pitches. They're sick of getting the creepy content that's been advertised to them, because me and you just had a conversation about a jet ski rental business. Now Yamaha is trying to hit me up with a guy and his girl on jet skis on Facebook, right? So it's like, whoa. So we're going to eventually ruin social media too, and you know what it's going to go back to? We're not going to have a ton of big businesses because people are buying online, and people are a little more living in fear with everything going on in the world. It's crazy, shootings and all these things. It's going to come back to this small word of mouth and then micro-influencing through that. So social media, like anything else, is going to have it's a big thing, right? It's like a big business. And what do those big box stores last, like 30 years? So we're in that peak of kind of social media and data right now. But just because you can steal someone's information doesn't mean it's right. And make sure when you kind of do that, or when you're on social media putting yourself out there, think about your future and how you really want to be perceived later on. And if social media were to die today, all these images would still go into a cloud somewhere later on. Just think about that, and think about your real true purpose with social media. Is your real true purpose to make money, or is it to be 1 million followers with 1 million likes and cool? But what is really cool? Does that make you really happier? Or were you really happier along that journey to get that 1 million followers before you started doing things a little egregious to get to that point?
Well said, man. Well said.
Yeah. I always ask, like, any business that comes to pitch me, like smaller e-commerce company, I ask, like, how many apostles do you have? And apostles are, in biblical terms, are people that they will spread the word and they love your content. It's not just people who are people who love your content. And in order to have a strong small business, you need 10 of them. In order to have a good sized medium business, 50. In order to have a Fortune 500, 1,000. You get 1,000 apostles, you're a Fortune 500 company.
And they're all influencers.
Yeah, but they're influencers who love your content. They'll ride or die for your content. And so the question is what are you doing to build trust? And I think one of the things you mentioned, which is absolutely key. I study a lot of exit polls, like in politics, and like what's going on, and we're seeing now. We're getting more globalization and all that stuff, but people reject. People don't want it. They start mistrusting, and people. What's going to go back is we crave conversations with our neighbor, with our friends, local communities, and our churches. And I think there's a huge movement in the world right now to go away from big government, big data. We don't trust globalization. I mean, the conversation we're having now is like globalization is not. I mean, 10 years ago it was the greatest thing ever.
Yep.
Now I see even young people saying like, hey, no. We want more local community stuff. I don't trust a celebrity. I trust Brendan. So I guess the question that you need to ask yourself when you're building your social following, whatever, what are you doing to build trust? Will jumping off a cliff get people to trust you more, or will they just like it and will go viral? I have a lot of people that I know. I was talking to a guy who he had a little toddler and she was doing some crazy shit and he filmed it, he and his wife, and the video went viral. Everyone's seen it. It's like 1 million plus views. But like, what's after that? Like, okay, so now they just got viral, but what did he actually create trust?
Why?
Yeah. So like, are you a trustworthy person? So are people like buy from me? I might not have, but people buy from me because I've done stuff to create trust in someone. But why does Leo trust me? Because we help each other out. We're there for each other. I'll respond to him. We're boys, and it takes time to build that relationship. If you jump from a cliff or you just show your ass or something on Instagram, it's not building trust, and that's the only thing that's going to stay. Whereas just a following for 1 million is not going to actually drive conversions. I always tell people, it's like, what are you doing to build trust? So everyone that advertises with me on like podcasts and stuff, I know them personally. I'll call them. People like yourself, like I never met you, but we were talking every day because that builds trust with each other. So when you say something, I'll trust you. You know. So you've never been here. I could be like, dude, come to my home, and you don't know who I am. Seriously. We had never met before. I was like, dude, come to my home. Like, who am I? But like, we build trust. If someone invited me from like a chat bot and like, hey, come to my home, like, no.
Yeah, people do that though.
Yeah.
People do that on LinkedIn. I get these messages all the time. Hey, I want to jump on a call with you. No, I don't want to jump on a call.
Exactly.
Why? Why are we getting on a call?
But why did we get on a call?
Because we had built trust.
Exactly.
And we liked each other, right?
Exactly.
And a lot of these people send you these
100%.
messages and it's like, whoa, slow down. Like, I don't like being approached like that, right?
Yes.
And I feel like sometimes I turn into this like mean person because I like to have conversations, but I don't like to be like tried, right? Or like, hey, give me a call. I want to say, no, you see I'm in sales. I go into every sales conference since I was 16 going 100%. To these sales things. Sales is about know, like, and trust, right?
Yes.
You could be the best snake oil salesman in the world to people that don't know you, don't like you, and looking for like that cure, that whatever that's going to cure at that moment. So when you come to LinkedIn and say, oh, give me a call, I got this product I have no idea who you are, and you know what, I'm going to probably block you. And you know what, maybe I would have liked you in person, but now I just don't. Yes. So I think like having a conversation prior and noticing there's some common interests, whether it's email or Instagram, then you're like, okay, I'll get along with this person in life, right? Because what that little DM box is like, it's a fictitious cloud of conversation. It's a good connection, but it's not like, hey, can we actually sit here and have a conversation and not hate each other? All right, maybe you're on this side politics or this side, but we can kind of find common ground.
Absolutely.
But if you come at me on social media, go vote for this, whoa. And you said that in one of your last podcasts about social media. I think it might have been with Justin or growing a brand. And it made me actually think a lot more about my brand on social media and making sure that it's true to me, right? So a lot of times I think like, all right, I want to grow my following. People in the fitness space so it trends if you put a lot of workouts in. Well, honestly, like, I don't really like going on a big gym like a lot of these people do on social media where there's a ton of people there. I like a free space. I like a turf. I like to use my bands. I like to use weights, but I don't like a ton of people around. So when I do that on my page, I'm trying to show people workouts, but it's not something I love, right? So how am I going to step back and enjoy my page, but not make it so much like work? And you had said people will come to your page because you're yourself. So I think for me is I know there's a brand there and I've worked to brand my page, but again, I want to make sure that as I keep growing, there's always these points where I step back and say, do I really like doing this, or am I just posting it to just keep my page growing and keep a business going? And I don't ever want to do that, because if it gets to a point where I'm like, I got 1 million followers, I got to keep these 1 million people happy, fuck it, I'm out, I'm done. I don't, you know what I mean? I'll go open a mom and pop shop and live in the woods and be perfectly happy, right? Because I don't do it for other people. I want to do things that make me happy. And I've always kind of said that, I don't really want to go to my friend's birthday, this, and this. It doesn't make me happy, and I'm not going to bring my best self. So bring your best self on Instagram, or don't fucking do it.
Right.
Get off the thing, Are you doing it to say to your parents, I got 20 likes today? Well, you know what? There's more to life, right? And we got to keep making these like interpersonal connections with people. And that's a huge problem with social media.
It can just be a medium. It's a medium to connect, to make things like this happen, I feel.
Finding a balance with everything, right? A balance of, business, a balance of personal relationships, a balance of, growing yourself, growing your brand, but just not doing it because you think other people like it. That's a big thing. And I think that, listening to your podcast and listening to other people and reading, those things kind of help you find yourself and along your journey, whatever it is. And you read a book, you hear something, you listen to a podcast, and you say, how can I implement it into my space to make the people that are in my space better?
Not MySpace, but MySpace.
But copying other people is like the biggest like rabbit hole you can get into, because it's like, okay, that person is this, and then you feel like, dude, I gotta make my website exactly like
and it works.
Person.
It's gonna work for me.
Yes.
I gotta do it.
You're like, oh shit, now something else happened, and it's, dude, especially online, there's like, it changes so quickly, you're gone. Like,
you're all over the place.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I gotta make my content because I saw this fitness, okay, I gotta do the same thing. And then you're like, oh no, now I gotta do this. And like I know people that every few days they hit me up, oh no, should I make a website like this? I was like, dude, you just tried the strategy. Like, wait for a second. Like, no, I saw this on Amazon. It's like, find a strategy that works for you and stay with it, but also make sure that it's unique, because that's another thing that we're going back to a little bit more we're getting into a global village, I call it, because we like our interpersonal connections, but also the guy that stands out to you in like in your friend group or whatever is the guy that's unique. Like,
he's himself too.
Yeah, he's himself. I'm like, dude, as for me, all my friends that I hang out with, they're non-PC. I can shoot the shit, and I know like I don't even have to have the same opinion as them, but I love fucking hanging out with them because it's awesome, dude. Like, you're a unique person. You're not just a robot that says the same shit. Right. And that's the thing. Like, if you want to win online, is like, number one, how is your content super different? Like, I look at it and I'm like, in the age where everything looks the same, it's the age where you want to be remarkable. You're like, okay, like this is remarkable stuff. I've never seen this fucking shit before. But then the second thing is, and I go back to all this stuff, is like, what am I doing to get people to actually trust me? And social media can be used for a variety of things. It can be used, number one, to actually thinking about it, like, man, I'm taking pictures there anyways, I got a following. Let me hit up the marketing team here and like see if they want to pay me for the stuff that I'm putting out. The second thing that I think is very useful that I use it for, is people look you up all the time. It's just how the world works. Like, people are like, oh, this guy just, he joined my team at work. What's the first thing people do? They're like, okay, I'm gonna Google. We just have a natural obsession with Googling people. So it's like, what are people seeing online? So social media can be a medium for you to, again, have some sort of trust. I know I get real estate deals because people ask me, it's like, oh, you do Enlightened Millennial, we love that shit. We talked, other guy was over here talking about a big project, and he talked for like at least 25 minutes about Enlightened Millennial, my bodybuilding stuff. That's like, he saw a shot of me like without a shirt and flexing, and that was the conversation. But if I had never put that online, he'd have no fucking clue about it, and like there was nothing that's gonna separate me whereas from other investors who have no online content, who have no SEO, nothing. So it's about personal brand building. And like getting to that topic a little bit, why do you think it's important now than ever before?
Because everyone's online, right? Everyone's on their phones. Everything is, like you said, like right here, readily available. So make yourself, what are you good at, right? I have a friend that is a manager at Stop and Shop. He knows video games and he's big into comics and stuff. He should maybe get online on eBay. He's great with eBay. Sell that stuff. And his personal brand on Instagram might be someone that has knowledge with games. He can point out, if you go to a flea market, that's a game from Super Nintendo that's worth a lot of money. He doesn't have to be Steve Cook of the fitness world to have 1 million followers. Like, no, don't do that. Right. Don't do that. That's not you, right? So I think like personal branding means so much more right now, because so many people think they're personal branding, but they're not themselves. They're someone else's copy. They're a personal brand of what they think is going to be valuable. And what goes viral is shit that you didn't plan to go viral. And I think a lot of my videos I've done too is like, I want it to be good, and I'm like, oh, this is going to go viral, but maybe I wasn't myself enough in it for it not to. So I think it's always kind of like,
That's key.
Being clean with your image too, not just throwing anything up. You want everything to be clean, but still finding a way to be fun and be yourself and make people like you.
But you can be an expert in anything, right?
Anything.
In the smallest thing.
Cameras, drones. I mean, and that's the thing is like, don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself for likes or comments. Put yourself in a space where you know something, bring value, be educational, and there's gonna be people that like it. People like everything.
That's what I was gonna say. That it's good. Like your friend who knows a lot about comics. That's his alter ego, right?
Yep.
Something we put online. It can be an alter ego that we have, like fitness, sustainability, green industry.
Yeah.
You know, work like it's just like as we mentioned before. It's an extension of yourself. It's just another part of you. That's your whole brand. So.
And you can have a few alter egos in that same space, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of like, don't specific yourself to just one niche if you're trying to grow like a big personal brand. Have a bunch of niches that you like or are passionate about and show content in those things and constantly post similar content in all those areas, right? If you like 100 things, don't post 100 things, but pick like 5 things that you're good at and people relate and you don't know which one's gonna hit, right? Me and Margaret a few years did a sunflower project where we created our own sunflower packet. You buy a packet from us, we give you a second packet, you give it to a friend, and then they're supposed to kind of reciprocate the event. And on the line down, people keep getting these sunflower packages, and the goal was to go out somewhere random, throw a seed in the ground, let it grow, and the energy of kind of like the good energy of the planet and the good energy of you as a person kind of going out there and planting the seed the plant will grow. So we were kind of talking about it like, oh, how cool would it be if you're driving through Boston, there's a bunch of sunflowers popping up near Fenway Park and people are taking pictures and they're like, why are these sunflowers here in front of Gillette Stadium? So that was kind of the thing, and it went viral. I mean, it didn't go viral on, you know, some of these crazy video levels, but there was people in other countries planting, buying, challenging their friends.
Crazy,
Alex and Ani had reached out to us about it, and there was a lot of small little plantings in towns and stuff about it. So I think the big thing with that was like, that was something that we found cool. I had worked outside in landscaping and stuff when I was younger and said, you know what, this is kind of fun. We both like it. Sunflowers represent happiness, and it's word of mouth. Again, what's kind of going to get people going. So that was something I liked, and it was something that I wasn't afraid to show on my page, and it's a little different than, but it's me.
Right? You can go super niche. So I've like helped people like do stupid shit. I was at a mall one time. I get bored as hell. I don't like shopping. I just was with someone else and they love shopping. I hated it. So there's a guy who he's like, I kind of take a picture of you because I was sitting bored as fuck. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, sure. And then he would take pictures, and then he has a huge, you guys probably seen him, is a guy who takes photos of guys who get bored at stores.
Really?
Yes. So,
really?
Yep.
Wow.
So he's the guy who takes photos of, like, you know how men always go shopping with their girlfriends or wives, and they hate it, and they're always sitting there. And he takes photos of that and posts it online. So he started with like 10, 12. Dude, his following is huge now, like hundreds of thousands. He gets paid crazy amount of money just for like advertising stuff.
Yeah.
But he just takes photos of men who get bored shopping with their girlfriends. That's it.
How simple is that?
Yeah, but
so
you can be anything. You can be the guy, the flea market guy. You can be the guy with the flannel shirt. You can be the guy who, the moving guy from Somerville to Boston. Like, you can have a specific niche, and you can create. You just make a photo about something about moving from Somerville. You can take a photo of like finding video games at flea markets, and you take a photo every time you find a cool video game like Nintendo 64. And you take a photo of every flea market you go to. But it's something so specific. And the cool thing that you mentioned too. If you're just, if you just say you're in groceries and you're starting off your career like in Stop and Shop your bag and stuff, like that's fucking boring. But dude, with Instagram, with your phone, you can create alter egos of like a specific thing you have, and you can grow a massive following with it. Mm-hmm. Like this guy, he just worked at a mall and he was bored because he had this shifts in between. He would see guys who were bored and he would just take photos of them and post it. And I was like, dude, post it, just keep posting. I was like, dude, every time you go to a mall, just post pictures of guys that are bored as fuck.
Yeah.
And he did it. And now his account is huge. And so we're buddies now, but like he gets paid ridiculous amount from Simon and all these companies that now have like, it's like the guy who takes photos of men who are bored, and then you have like a promo from like some store in the mall, right? So, but it's something so specific, and he was doing it while he was just a sales associate at Macy's. Like, now you can build a huge, massive following. You're just a sales associate at Macy's. It's like, how resourceful can you be? We have all the resources. All of us here in this room, we have resources. We have all of us have all the resources, right? Like with this phone, and we get 3 meals a day, and we have shelter and water. We're good. We have internet connection. So the question is, how resourceful are you going to be? Where you're maybe just doing like a moving business, maybe you're just doing something small or an assistant or whatever. But that now with your phone, you can start a niche specifically that and start posting. And dude, it's like I've seen some crazy accounts grow, and that's what got me fascinated with marketing and stuff. But mostly just using my experience from politics in it, and it's like fascinating how you can grow from something so specific and niche, you know.
I think too, like what you said is, and brings up a good point. Kind of with my account, I a little more broad because I want mine to be athletic, kind of fun, more of like a reality TV, a reflection of me versus just an Instagram that's fitness, because that's just not the real reason why I started using a following. Was I was working in insurance, I wanted to play in the NFL, I hadn't played football in a while, and I said, you know what, there's a good chance that if I post this content, eventually something will happen of it. I might not play for the Patriots, but some good things will continue along the line, and people will like, oh, you haven't played football since high school, that's crazy, you just play flag football. Okay, great, thank you, thanks for your advice, appreciate it, but that's not going to stop me. And I had a lot of arguments with these people, friends, family, whatever, about it, because it's like, I'm using my time wisely. I'm going to a field on Friday night, I'm running in the rain, doing 40-yard dashes. I could be out in a bar, right? So would you rather have me out drinking and driving, or would you have me living this, oh, well, that's not reality, you're not going to get signed in the NFL. I played on 2 teams, 2 paid teams, got me to go to WWE and work out and try out, and it's opened a lot of sports opportunities. I started my resistance bands business that way with Margaret. Yep. We've stayed at hotels. We keep creating content in that area, and I don't know what's going to continue to come of it. I might not ever go play in the NFL. I'm 31 now. It would be cool because maybe a team would say, hey, yeah, we'll bring you in just for the social media story. But that's the beauty of it. You don't know, right? Yeah. You have no idea. So that's kind of why I've used it and leveraged it and kind of wanted to put that out there and say, yeah, you know what? I could run a 40-yard dash just as fast as a lot of NFL players. I didn't go to a Division I college because certain things happened in my life and I left school and went to work. But here I am. I'm ready to play. I'm out there. I'm going to put myself out there. So that's one area that I started personal branding with social. And then as things went on, I wasn't going to just be posting pictures of myself on a football field late at night or early in the morning, because if nothing happens with that, it's not sexy enough content towards my life to develop a bigger, broader following of Brendan. So I decided, all right, I'm going to show fitness videos because that's how I get onto the field, and those are the things that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about health and wellness because without being healthy, I can't work a 9-to-5 job and work on my football stuff and work on my online business. If I'm sick all the time, I'm no good in any areas. Right. So that's kind of how I looked at my personal brand and used my career, 9-to-5 job, whatever you want to call it, as seed money to dump into these other areas and invest in myself and my future. And that's kind of how I went about personal branding. And it's going to be different for everyone, but that's kind of what I saw it, and just kind of continued tuning into that space and just trying to use it as opportunity.
I want to close with one thing you said, which is influencers. So one thing we do, people ask, like, what do you do with your money? Like, once you make money, what is it that is important? I always think the most important thing that I do is I try to get influence. So that's why I spend a lot of time with politicians, with people in network. Why? Because I become an influencer in real life, right? So people's like, okay, if I want to get something done, people know they can oftentimes come to me because I know someone who can get it done. And like that, those people are super valuable. There are people who can get stuff done and people you don't want to fuck with either. So that way it's like, yes, you're growing your bank account, but if you're not actually if you have no influence out in the world, you're not powerful. Power is about influence. Who can you influence to do something for you, help you out, or get stuff done, or that no one wants to fuck with you? Now, if you're very good on social media, if you're a good following, I know brands, dude, that are now so afraid in companies to get bad, get called. Like, if there's something wrong on a plane, people will post it on social media, and the plane company will go down. So the social media has given a lot of power to everyday people. So when you build an audience that cares about you, not just someone that you buy a following, then it's not going to happen. But if you have a real following that cares about you, and if you build up trust, and you have tens of thousands of people who listen to what you have to say, dude, now you have real influence. And other people will be like, you know what, I'm going to get this guy a better deal. I don't want to fuck with this guy. I don't want to treat him badly, because if companies treat me badly, well, first, I'll sue them. But second of all, I have a voice now. So it will blast it in front of 20, 30,000 people. So you're not someone that people want to screw with. Like, you wouldn't want to screw with a celebrity, because why? It was like, dude, that guy has so much influence. I don't want to get involved with that. Yeah. But if you're someone who has 30, 40,000 people, like you said, you have, I don't know what you follow, 40,000 or something. like people will be like, I will watch out what I do to Brendan because he will blast me on social media and I'll get fucked. And I know this is not the most pleasant thing to talk about on, but it is true. It is very true.
And they want to try you too, though. There's those people behind you that want to get you or bait you into saying something.
Yes.
Or try to get you to say the wrong thing. And that is one of the negative sides of social media is you want to have a voice.
Yes.
And you want to use it to be an influencer, but you got to be careful with your voice too. So it's again that balance of.
I never knew how much that was. I remember I was doing a deal with a company, and they were just not doing stuff right. And I remember then the vice president called me, and he was like, "Hey, Prady, just one thing. We'll take everything. Just please don't post it on your social media." I was like, "Dude, I barely ever post anything." And I never realized like why. It just didn't hit me. And I was like, "Oh fuck! Like I have like over 10,000 people, and I have a huge audience through my company. Like I can actually do something.
Yeah.
Where if I say something and I call someone out, if they have actually wronged people, like I have power now to do that." And it never hit me until he emailed me. I was like the vice president of the company. He actually personally called me to not post it on my social media or to not tell anyone of my friends or anything like that because he was so afraid that it would actually hurt his business so much, right? So, and it has had more clout than me even being an attorney because I'll attack you from all fronts, but that's another thing. And it never hit me up until I got that call, and I was like, wow, this social media thing is like, I've worked all this, I've done all the snippets, I do the subtitles, I do all this, we video here, but what is actually on the other end? Yes, you can make money, but another thing it does, it builds you street cred. Like people actually give you street cred. I mean, there's people like, oh shit, you're the guy. What did he do the first thing when he saw you? He's like, oh man, Brendan, you're the guy with 40,000 followers. That's the first thing he said, right? Yeah. So why? Because you have in his eyes, you have street cred. I think you have street cred because you're like, man, you're a guy at 40,000. You can fill a whole soccer arena with all the followers you have.
Gillette Stadium.
Yeah, you can fill a Gillette Stadium.
That's really cool.
That's him. And he's sitting right here, right?
Right.
So think about the power that builds. So people say, oh, I can monetize from this. I was like, dude, you have fuckload of influence now. So the 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000, like that's a lot of fucking people. Try to fill, if you have 1,000 followers, like we have 2,000 in Langley, try to fill that in this building. It's a lot, you know?
That's a lot, yeah.
So I also have a quick question. So you guys are obviously on the other end of the spectrum. Like what would be the top 5 advice, top 5 points to touch on for people who want to actually grow their audience now? Because the landscape for Instagram of building a following has kind of changed a little bit, right? What's some advice that you guys obviously have, a huge following already.
So I guess there's a few ways to look at it. So one, I guess, is Instagram doesn't reward as much the bigger accounts anymore as they do these middle of the road accounts. We've kind of even seen like 4,000 followers to maybe 10,000, 15. Instagram gets them better engagement. There's some like home run point with them. So don't really think about, hey, I need 400,000 followers to make money.
Right.
Think about how can I go from 400 to 4,000 and maybe 14,000, but followers that are going to be really engaged in those areas that you're passionate about. And then if you can get 1,000 of those people to be $100 customers a year, you make $100,000 off of 1,000 good $100 customers. So if you break it down small into that, then you're very niched, you're not trying to grow huge, and inadvertently you're going to keep growing, but you're in an area where Instagram seems to be rewarding these people right now, and to kind of just do that. And then, obviously it's finding your niche and finding the people that like it and using the right hashtags, following people, follow them. If they like your content, they'll stay. If not, they won't. You unfollow them and engage with those who engage with you. It's kind of like sales. You're always making phone calls to get a new prospect. Instagram's a sales funnel. It's new prospects of people coming through every day, whether you're reaching out to them, liking the pitches, commenting. Those are prospects that could potentially influence your business, influence your page, and potentially grow your revenue. But it doesn't need to be, like I said, for 100,000 to grow revenue. It just needs to be small, compact, hungry people that are excited to be on that page.
Yeah, I think for me, it's stuff that I do offline, out of Instagram. So like this week, I just published an article, I think it was on, it was a Medium or Ghost. Like they wanted me to write an article. I wrote an article about why certain people are successful or not, and I looked at brain chemistry. And I wrote an article, it's a really long article, it's a two-page article, like I don't know how many thousands of words. And I wrote that article, it got published, and I got 40 followers from it on Instagram. Because at the end of the thing, I was like, hey, if you want to see more of my content, here's my Instagram. People actually looked, and I wasn't even hyperlinked, was not properly hyperlinked even. And and people look me up and then follow me. So for me, like, okay, one thing is, we talked about this before, being engaged on Instagram, respond to every comment, but it's also the things you do outside of Instagram. I follow you, not because of Instagram. I know you outside of Instagram. I follow Leo. We all follow each other.
Yeah.
Why? Is because it's stuff that we did outside. And one thing I want to say is, like, most of the conversations about brands, I think it's over 92% still happen offline. So you can do all the advertising you want, but it's the conversations you have at a dinner table with people. Is like, oh, I want to use. How often do you talk about brands online when you message each other? Not often. You talk about brands when you're talking to people face to face. Like, you'll drop a brand name, you'll drop a car name. Oh, dude, did you see that guy's like Lamborghini? That's a brand. Dude, I love Bang Energy. That's another brand. But you won't talk about it on DM. You talk about it in real life. So for me, it's like, what are you doing offline? And for me, if you look at my page, I disabled comments because it was a huge shit show. It's not like, I don't even post that often. But for me, I do a ton of stuff outside. Every week, I make it a point that I guest blog on someone's blog. I have a blog at every major blog that I'm like, hey, go to entrepreneur.com and be like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, can I write an article for you?
Yep.
And they'll be like, oh, yeah, sure, why not? And now you write an article, how to grow social media following with influencer marketing. You send them a great fucking article. Like, it has to be not some shit.
Yeah.
And the guy reading was like, oh, dude, that's a great article. Like, we would love to run it. You don't get paid for it, but now you're Brendan Griffin. Someone Googles you, dude, you have an article on entrepreneur. People don't know how easy it is to guest blog on big sites. You can, I've written for HuffPo, I've written for Entrepreneur, I've written for Inc. And like, I'm nobody. But now all of a sudden, people are like, oh, that's the guy that writes for all these things. And all I did do, I email them, like, hey, I want to write a guest blog. And they're like, yeah, sure, send it to me. And if I write a good fucking article, they'd be like, yeah, we have space. Here, post it.
They need content.
Yeah, they
all
need
the
content
time.
too. So for me, it's the stuff I do outside. Also, every month I do 3 guest podcasts. So this month I did 5. So I go on other people's podcasts and I'm like, hey, I'd love to talk to you about this stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, we always need guests. Like, we need guests too. It's like, if someone hit us up like, hey, I want to be a guest on your show, I want to talk about this. I'm like, yeah, sure, come on.
Right.
So now it's all the stuff, the brand building I do outside of Instagram that then brings me a following. So, it's outside podcasting, super easy. Go to the podcast you see on iTunes. Go on New and Newsworthy, which are the top ranking podcasts that just come out. Hit up the host. Like, hey, you have a new podcast, you're doing really well, I want to be a guest on your show. I don't even get paid nothing. I want to just talk to your audience and give them real cool advice. 9 out of 10 times they'll say yes. Now you're on a podcast. Second thing you do is, like, you hit up all the big major magazines and you just say, hey, I want to have a guest article. Go from, when I was younger, when I was 17, I wrote an article and it was published in Newsweek, a guest article, where I wrote about the Iran deal. Like, it's crazy. Like, I was super passionate about it. And I sent them, I was like, hey, I'm a 17-year-old kid from high school. I want to send my perspective. And they're like, okay, we'll run it. So there's a small blurb in Newsweek that I wrote. But you have to just go out and ask them and you'll be surprised. Now it's all the stuff you do outside of Instagram that then brings a following to you on Instagram. And I think that's super important for people to start cultivating that. And all of a sudden, dude, you're the expert. Now you're Brendan, and people are going to come to you and be like, dude, I have a company. Would you want to invest in it? I'll give you like 20-30%, dude, because you write articles on Entrepreneur, you have 30,000 followers, you've been all these podcasts, you know your shit. Please invest in my company. So all my deals come through. People have read my article somewhere or seen me consult someone, and then all of a sudden now I'm like, dude, I'm investing in this company or that company, I'm doing this real estate, and it just like kind of fell, but because I did so much outreach and marketing, that you grow your following base that way. That's another approach, I guess. I love it,
man. Right. Even though I'm on the show, I'm still learning.
Right.
I was just like thinking about that too.
I know,
again.
me too.
Like, all right, another piece, right? I'm on the show, but I'm learning a lot about the show, right? So that's, it's I think with that, it's like a funnel. It's a sales funnel, right?
Yes.
So you're building outside. You talk to people in this community, you talk to people on the social media community, and then you continue building your space. And your space is kind of like a storefront in the mall back in the day. If you had something to sell and there was a big mall, people were walking through the mall, they were inadvertently going to buy your product by the amount of traffic. So use your
or use other people's traffic. So if you have a business, like, dude, Brendan, can I do something for you? Can we talk? Can we get on a podcast together and I can talk about my business? Right. I don't have like all these followers, but I know Huffington Post has like all these paid people that read it. Okay, so what can I write a guest blog for you? I'll write a 2,000 page article. I'll spend a whole month on it. Yeah, sure, write it. So if you can use other people's influence to because they already have one. So it's really great. If you have a business, try to don't just, hey, I want to do something for them. Like, if you want to come to, like, yes, we talk about get their company, your company, but it's like, you're not here to advertise it, but it comes in a conversation, right? And so I think if you do that, and I never mention my products in any of the stuff, But so now when I launch a product, I know the writers. I'm like, hey, Wall Street Journal, I know one of the things I wrote, you were the editor when I wrote an article, like, would you run a story? I have a company, it's a startup, and I sell a new tropical we're out of Boston. I just started it by myself and have grown it into a massive company. Would you want an article? Yep.
Yeah.
So, you know?
And you have to normally pay a PR firm big money, right?
Yes. No.
You want to get in Huffington Post, you pay someone $5,000 because they have the relationship.
Yes.
That street cred again.
Yeah.
So I have a relationship with you work for Huffington Post, you pay me $5,000, I give you $2,000, I make $3,000, and boom, now Prady's in there. But otherwise, like, you would have had to have that relationship. So what you're doing on the back end is you're building long-term relationships for the future. You don't know when they might come into play, but they're there.
Yeah. So that's what people ask me. Did you just start this company? How is it all these magazines? Like, what the hell is it? What you do? It's like, oh, I know the writers, like, for all of them, because I've given them content all the time. But you should everyone that starts a business. If you're in Boston, think about it. If I'm in Somerville, if I'm in Boston, and I'm starting a company. Who are the big magazines or trade articles or websites that write articles about startups? There's Boston, huge. They write about startups in Boston. Like, just hit them up. Like, I'm a Boston startup. I started this company. Super excited to have a little local story angle to it. Would you want to run it? Sure.
Why not?
Always those journalists, dude. There's like younger people that are always looking for stories, and they get hammered at the end of the week. Shit, we don't have a story. Help them out. I'm like, dude, I'll give you a story.
Well, it's the same thing as when you're trying to create social media content, and you're like, what am I going to post next week?
Right.
I need content.
Yes.
If you wanted to feature other people on your page or on your podcast, that's how you get it. You bridge together that gap.
And if someone does it for you, they do all the work. Like, dude, that guy's great. I love that guy. He saved my day.
Did you have someone else you know that can help me out?
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. So I've helped other entrepreneurs now help stories to get on Boston because the guy's like, dude, I don't have any article to write next week. Do you have any other articles? Like, yep, here you go, right? So that was many years ago. So that guy has moved on, but like, that's something it's just a resource. Just hit him up, dude. And what are you doing for someone? Like, what are you providing to that other person so you can build a relationship? Because like, there's no trust if I only trust you if you're willing to go outside and be like, you know what, I'm going to help you out with something and I don't get anything out of it. You know, like, I'm going to get on a call with you for 2 hours on Skype to talk about Amazon. I'm not getting anything out of it, but it's like, dude, I want to do it because I want to help you. That builds trust. You're like, okay, Prady, like, spend 2 hours for me to do that. I trust him, and you've done the same for me back. So we trust each other. So what are you doing to build trust in your community? And that, dude, no one can take that away from you. Like, any product you launch, any Amazon thing you launch, you want to ask for reviews, people will come in line and help you out, grow your business. And I think that's always helped for me. So
word of mouth, it's the old Paul Revere thing.
Yeah.
Paul Revere went out and influenced everyone by word of mouth.
Right.
And then they went out and word of mouth to other people, and next thing you know, you had this massive thing going.
Right.
Success at the service of others.
Yes, sir.
There we go.
Good stuff, guys. Awesome. So we're wrapping it up, and good
to have you on, man.
episode.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Good shit, brother. Good shit. Thanks.